Imagine doing everything exactly right. And I mean, completely by the book.
Oh, yeah. The whole routine.
Right. You are building your business. You're hitting the gym, 5 days a week? Your diet is completely dialed in. You're dressing well. You are highly responsible.
You're doing all the things you're supposed to do.
Exactly. And you still get ghosted. You get left on red for some 23-year-old guy who lives in his mom's basement and, is actively hiding a secret girlfriend.
I mean, it sounds like a bad joke, right? Or like maybe an exaggeration from some frustrated guy venting at a bar after a really bad Friday night.
Yeah, totally.
But the wild part is it's not. This isn't some hypothetical scenario. This is a very specific, everyday reality of modern dating that plays out constantly. And it completely shatters the illusion of how we are taught attraction actually works.
That's exactly why we need to dig into this today. Because if you are listening to this right now, you have probably experienced some version of this massive glaring disconnect.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Every guy has.
Right. Because on one hand, you have this logical checklist of what people universally claim they want in a partner.
Stability, honesty, a great career.
Exactly. And then on the other hand, there is the raw, unpredictable, entirely illogical reality of what actually triggers human emotional attraction.
Yeah, the stuff that actually gets a visceral reaction.
Right. And so many men are just pulling their hair out, trying to figure out why their perfectly tailored resume of life achievements is getting them, a warm hug and a permanent spot in the friend zone.
While the guy making a complete mess of his life is the one getting the frantic, emotional text messages at 2 in the morning.
Yes, it makes zero sense on paper.
Well, it's a profound misunderstanding of human behavior. I mean, as men, we are raised in a meritocracy. We are taught from a very young age that life operates like a vending machine.
A vending machine, I like that.
Yeah, think about it. You put in the hard work, you become a better provider, you establish a more stable presence, you upgrade your wardrobe, and the market, in this case the dating market, is supposed to reward you with a reciprocal level of desire.
Right. You put in the coins of achievement, you get the relationship.
Exactly. But the vending machine is broken. Or, well, rather, it was never a vending machine to begin with.
It was never a vending machine because human desires, specifically, romantic and physical attraction, it does not read your resume.
No, it doesn't care about your 5-year plan at all.
It doesn't care that your credit score is 800. It cares about emotional spikes, right? It cares about tension. It cares about the nervous system being stimulated.
And that is a really difficult pill for a highly logical, successful man to swallow.
It really is. So let's break down this checklist because it has become incredibly hyper-specific over the last few years. I mean, you see it constantly on social media, in dating app prompts, everywhere.
Oh yeah, the idealized modern man.
Right. The avatar right now goes something like this. He needs to go to the gym every single day. He eats clean. He probably listens to business podcasts on his commute. He is relentlessly focused on his career.
He definitely doesn't go out to chaotic clubs anymore.
Oh, definitely not. He takes immaculate care of himself. I mean, I've even heard very specific demands for grooming routines, like he uses premium shampoo, he wears high-end cologne so you can smell his success entering the room.
And he casually sips artisanal cappuccinos while analyzing market trends.
Exactly. It is essentially a caricature of success.
It really is. It takes the aesthetic of, say, a James Bond type of character, but it strips away all the danger, all the edge, and all the unpredictability.
Right.
And it replaces it with the predictability of a mid-level accountant. It is a perfectly safe, aesthetically pleasing asset.
It's a mutual fund of a man.
Yes, a mutual fund.
And look, having those things is great for your own life. But let's look at how that checklist holds up against a real-world scenario. Because you brought up a fascinating case study that perfectly illustrates the delusion of relying on this checklist.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Let's contrast the guy with the premium cologne and the stock portfolio against a classic dating archetype, the gym trainer.
Oh man, this is where human psychology gets incredibly interesting. Because if you look at almost any woman's logical rule book, there is a universally agreed upon rule: never ever date a personal trainer at your gym.
It is a known hazard. It's a total cliche.
Right, because it makes zero logical sense. He works in a highly social, physical environment. He is constantly surrounded by other attractive people in spandex.
His job literally requires him to touch and charm his clients.
Exactly. And the boundaries are notoriously blurry. I mean, if you were presenting this to a board of directors, the logical brain would instantly say, reject this proposal. This is a terrible investment of emotional energy.
And for a while, the logical brain does build a fortress around that idea, right? She has this unbreakable rule, but then the environment changes the variables.
Right. She locks eyes with one specific trainer at her gym.
And the physical proximity, the daily interactions, the authoritative position he holds in that environment, it all starts to chip away at the logic.
Suddenly, she decides she just has to get to know him. And this is where we see the phenomenon of rationalization really begin.
The mental gymnastics start.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
she asks if he has a girlfriend. He gives a very casual no. But she starts noticing things. She sees rumors. She notices a specific girl constantly interacting with his social media.
Right?
So she confronts him. And what does he do? Does he provide a detailed, logical explanation?
No.
No. He gives her a classic, flimsy, low-effort denial. He says, oh, I used to talk to her, but we don't talk anymore.
Now, wait, hold on. If she is operating on the logical checklist, if he genuinely wants the honest, stable guy with the cappuccino, this is the exact moment she should walk away. The guy with the 800 credit score isn't bringing this kind of suspicious drama into her life.
But that is the crucial misunderstanding here. The drama is the feature, not the bug. The checklist woman should walk away, but the human animal is intrigued.
Intrigued to the mess.
Yeah. This flimsy excuse is actually a test of her boundaries, and by accepting it, she is stepping into his frame. The tension of the unknown, like, is he lying? Is he telling the truth? Who is this other girl? It creates an emotional spike.
And the safe guy doesn't create spikes.
No, he creates plateaus.
Plateaus. That makes total sense, but it still seems wild that a flimsy excuse is enough to keep her hooked.
It keeps her hooked because it leaves a thread unresolved. So they stop talking for a bit, but because of the environment, he is still right there. He is a trainer at her gym.
So the tension doesn't dissipate.
No, it just brews in the background.
No.
Then, weeks later, he reaches out. He texts her out of nowhere. And notice his strategy here. He doesn't ask her out for a polite, formal dinner where they can interview each other about their 5-year plans.
Right.
He says, we should go to this haunted house.
And her reaction is fascinating. She doesn't hesitate. She says if he plans it, buys the tickets, and figures it out, I'm there.
Which, to be fair, shows he is taking the lead.
Yeah, which is a universally attractive trait.
Taking the lead is key, sure, but the venue he chose is the real masterstroke, whether he consciously understood the psychology of it or not.
Oh, a haunted house completely bypasses the prefrontal cortex, the logical checklist-making part of the brain.
Exactly. You are thrust into an environment of adrenaline, fear, darkness, and unpredictability. You have a physiological need to grab on to the person next to you for safety,
Your heart rate elevates, your pupils dilate, your palms sweat.
which are the exact same physiological responses as sexual arousal.
It's crazy how similar they are.
In psychology, there is a very well-documented phenomenon known as the misattribution of arousal. Human beings are actually remarkably bad at identifying the specific source of their physiological state.
Wow, really?
Yeah. When your heart is pounding and your adrenaline is surging because a guy in a clown mask just jumped out of a dark corner, your brain doesn't neatly compartmentalize that fear.
It looks at the person standing next to you.
Right. It looks at the guy holding your hand, leading you through the dark, and it crosswires those signals. The brain says, my heart is racing, I'm sweating, I'm holding his hand. I must be incredibly attracted to this guy.
So she is linking that intense physiological spike directly to his presence.
Precisely.
That is incredible. So he has effectively hijacked her nervous system, and she admits this. She describes the night as one of the best dates she's ever been on. She says she felt drunk in love.
Drunk in love from a haunted house.
And let's not forget the environmental modifiers here, because this particular haunted house had 2 bars in the waiting area.
Oh, of course it did.
So they were drinking, the adrenaline is through the roof, the misattribution of arousal is firing on all cylinders, and when they finally make it out, he buys them matching souvenir t-shirts.
You know, the matching t-shirts might seem like a throwaway detail, but from a behavioral standpoint, it's brilliant.
Is it?
Yeah, it is a spontaneous, highly emotional gesture that capitalizes on the heightened state they are already in. It creates an instant us against the world tribal dynamic.
Right. It's not a calculated, $300 dinner at a Michelin star restaurant meant to prove his financial stability.
No, it's a cheap cotton shirt.
But in that specific moment, it hits 10 times harder.
Because it solidifies the bond forged by the adrenaline. The logical brain is completely offline at this point.
It's totally shut down.
The fact that he is a gym trainer with a highly suspicious social media presence is entirely overridden by the visceral, in-the-moment experience of tension, fear, relief, and tribal connection.
Okay, so the date is a massive success. They drive back to his place. She's had a few drinks, so she makes the decision to just sleep over. She's not going to risk driving home.
Right, makes sense.
Now, let's contrast this again. The guy on the checklist has a mortgage. He has a beautifully decorated minimalist apartment. Our charismatic trainer is 23, and he still lives with his mother in the basement.
It is the ultimate juxtaposition. The stark reality of the basement versus the fantasy of the checklist.
And yet she is in the basement.
She's in the basement.
She's in the basement, so she is drifting off to sleep. And suddenly, she hears noises upstairs. The lights violently flick on in the stairwell leading down to his room.
Oh, boy.
And this guy, this smooth, confident, charismatic guy who just made her feel drunk in love an hour ago, sprints out of the bed in sheer panic and dashes up the stairs.
Buns.
She is lying there, completely confused. Her first thought is, oh no, maybe his mom caught us.
Which is bad enough.
Right, but then she hears the screaming, a woman's voice yelling, you have someone down there, get the hell out of my boyfriend's bed.
The secret girlfriend.
Yes.
The exact woman her logical brain tried to warn her about weeks ago.
The one he casually dismissed. The one she actively chose to ignore because the thrill of the haunted house and the matching t-shirts silenced her intuition entirely.
Exactly.
So, break this down for me. How does a woman with an unbreakable rule end up in a basement being screamed at by a secret girlfriend, and yet, when recounting the story later, she still talks about this guy with a certain fondness because it was the best date ever?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Why did the logical checklist fail so spectacularly?
It failed because, as we have to deeply internalize, logic simply does not negotiate with desire.
Logic doesn't negotiate with desire.
It just doesn't. When a charismatic person creates a genuine emotional spike, the rules evaporate. The checklist, the money, the ninth apartment, the grooming routine, those are baseline qualifiers.
Right.
People use them to filter out what they perceive as the bottom tier of society. But baseline qualifiers do not create arousal.
They just get you in the door, if that.
Exactly. Arousal is created by tension, by unpredictability, by the sheer force of someone's presence, and by the ability to evoke emotion.
And he had that.
The trainer did not have the resume. He didn't have the assets. But he had the frame. He led the interaction. He planned the date. He created a psychological environment where she didn't have to think, she just had to feel.
Okay, I hear you, but let me push back on this because there is a very obvious counter-argument that a lot of guys listening are probably shouting right now.
Bring it on.
If a woman explicitly states, I want the entrepreneur who listens to business podcasts and has his life together, and then she ends up in a basement with a broke 23-year-old, are you saying men shouldn't bother building themselves up?
Not at all.
I mean, is the advice here to abandon your ambitions, move back in with your parents, and get a part-time job at the gym just to manufacture drama?
No. And that is a very dangerous trap that a lot of men fall into when they first learn how behavioral psychology actually works in dating.
Right, they overcorrect.
They massively overcorrect. Building yourself up, having a successful career, being physically fit, achieving financial independence, that is absolutely crucial. But it is crucial for your own life, your own stability, your own freedom, and your own self-respect.
Yeah.
The fatal error is viewing those achievements as currency that you could exchange for authentic desire.
It's the vending machine mindset again.
Exactly. Let's use an analogy. Think of the checklist guy as a top-of-the-line, ultra-safe luxury sedan, like a high-end Volvo.
Okay, a Volvo.
It's a fantastic vehicle. It will get you from point A to point B in perfect comfort. It has lane assist, it has climate control, it has 10 airbags. It is the logical choice for a long, safe journey.
Sure.
But if you take someone on a joyride in that car, and the ride is completely silent, flawlessly smooth, and entirely predictable, they are going to get bored.
They might even fall asleep in the passenger seat.
Exactly. While the guy in the basement, he's a beat-up two-stroke dirt bike.
A dirt bike, I love that.
Right. The dirt bike is loud, it's dangerous, it doesn't have airbags, it might break down halfway up the trail. But while you are riding it, you are holding on for dear life. The wind is in your face, and your heart is pounding out of your chest.
You can't fall asleep on a dirt bike.
You are entirely present in the moment because the sheer unpredictability demands your full attention.
So the goal for a man isn't to become the dirt bike.
No. The goal is to be the high-end sports car. You want the brilliant engineering, the success, and the reliability of the luxury sedan. But you need to retain the V8 engine that roars when you step on the gas. You need to know how to provide the thrill.
Right.
The catastrophic mistake that the checklist guys make is that they rely entirely on their airbags and their lane assist to make a woman desire them. But desire is not born from safety.
Safety is comforting, but desire is born from tension.
Exactly. Desire is born from tension.
That is incredibly profound. But let's take this a step further, because if the brain misattributes arousal in new, exciting environments like a haunted house, what happens when a woman already has a history with someone she logically knows is dangerous?
Oh, this is where it gets dark.
Right. I want to look at how this same mechanism misfires with toxic exes. Because if you think ignoring red flags in a new guy is wild, the way the brain rationalizes going back to a toxic ex is almost unbelievable.
It is arguably much more powerful and far more destructive. Because you are no longer just dealing with the misattribution of arousal, you are dealing with established neurological pathways and trauma bonding.
Let me set the stage with a specific scenario that illustrates this perfectly. Imagine a woman who is in a relationship that is so thoroughly, undeniably toxic that when they finally break up, her friends don't just console her.
They do what?
They literally buy a cake, decorate it, and throw her a good riddance party.
A breakup cake. Wow.
That is how universally despised this guy was by her support system. And to add another layer to this, part of the toxicity, by her own admission, was their physical incompatibility. She stated plainly that his performance in the bedroom was terrible. We are talking 2 to 3 minutes maximum.
Okay, so we have established a baseline of poor behavioral treatment, emotional toxicity, and severe physical incompatibility.
Yeah, a complete disaster.
If we are looking at this through the lens of logic, the battle is entirely over. The logical brain has won. She has escaped the bad situation, and her social circle has certified the victory with baked goods.
The cake has been eaten, the chapter is closed. Okay. But fast forward 1 week.
Just 1 week.
1 week, she's out at a bar getting drinks with those exact same friends. And who happens to be there? The toxic ex.
Of course.
They both have a few drinks, lowering their inhibitions, and he approaches her. Now, he doesn't come up aggressive. He starts apologizing. He says he knows he was a mess. He knows he treated her poorly.
The vulnerable approach.
Right. And then he executes a masterful conversational spin. He blames all of his past toxic manipulative behavior on his deep-seated insecurities about his bedroom performance.
Oh, wow.
He claims he was acting out and seeking validation elsewhere because he felt so inadequate with her.
From a psychological manipulation standpoint, that is an incredibly effective reframe.
Really? Why?
Because what he is doing is taking his objective cruelty and tracing it back to a point of vulnerability. He is giving her a narrative that transforms him from a predator into a wounded bird.
A wounded bird?
Yeah, he is activating her instinct to nurture and heal, which completely disarms her logical defenses.
It totally disarms her. But then he drops the hook. He says, but I've been working on myself. I found this app called Control.
An app.
Yeah, and he claims he has been doing these specific exercises from the app, and now, magically, he has transformed into a marathon man who can go for 25 to 30 minutes.
And let me guess the outcome. The party with the cake was completely forgotten.
Completely forgotten. She goes home with him. And she doesn't just go home with him. She describes lying there afterward thinking, who are you and what did you do with my ex-boyfriend?
Oh.
She describes herself as entirely digmatized. Within days, they are texting back and forth constantly. They are making plans to meet up again.
And behind a friend's backs.
Yes. She openly admits that her logical brain is screaming at her, he cheated on you, he is toxic, do not entertain this. But she says her body is literally walking her back to his apartment. She is actively sneaking around behind the backs of the friends who threw her the breakup party.
This is a textbook, clinical study in cognitive dissonance and the mechanics of a trauma bond.
It's wild to see it play out.
It is absolutely crucial that we break down the psychology here, because men need to understand what is actually driving this behavior. I can assure you it has absolutely nothing to do with the Control app and has very little to do with the supposed 30 minutes of stamina.
Wait, really? Because she is citing the physical improvement as the primary reason she went back. Are you saying the app didn't matter?
The app is nothing more than a logical alibi.
A logical alibi.
Look at the timeline. Her subconscious, her emotional center, was already drawn back into his frame the moment he approached her with that push-pull energy at the bar.
The apology.
The vulnerability, the apology, the tension of the interaction, that was the hook. But the human brain hates cognitive dissonance. It cannot tolerate holding two conflicting beliefs at the same time.
Right. She can't believe I am a smart, self-respecting person while simultaneously acting out I am going home with the guy who treated me like garbage and ruined my life.
Exactly. So her brain desperately needs a justification. It needs a shiny new variable to focus on so she can explain her actions to herself.
I see.
He hasn't just apologized, he has fundamentally changed. He has an app. The mechanics of the relationship are different now. It is a permission slip, she writes for herself, to indulge in the emotional addiction she already possesses for him.
That is fascinating. The app is just a permission slip. But let's dig into the addiction part. Why is the addiction there in the first place? If he physically wasn't satisfying her, and emotionally he was draining her, where's the dopamine coming from?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Dopamine requires a reward. What is the reward in a toxic dynamic?
The reward is validation, and it is delivered on an intermittent reinforcement schedule.
Intermittent reinforcement.
Yes. When a man treats a partner poorly, when he withdraws his attention, when he makes her feel insecure, when he triangulates her with other women, he inadvertently creates a massive deficit in her self-esteem. He essentially digs a hole in her psyche.
And because he dug the hole, he is the only one holding the dirt to fill it back up.
That is a brilliant way to put it, yes. He becomes the sole source of validation that can fill that specific deficit. So he pushes her away, making her feel unworthy and anxious. Her cortisol spikes.
She feels terrible.
Then randomly, he pulls her back. He gives her a breadcrumb of affection or an apology or a moment of intense connection. When she gets that breadcrumb, the relief she feels triggers a massive flood of dopamine in her brain.
It's the slot machine effect.
It is quite literally the exact same neurological mechanism as a slot machine.
Yeah.
If a slot machine paid out $1 every single time you pulled the lever, you would get bored and walk away in 5 minutes.
Right, it's predictable.
But because you don't know when the payout is coming or how big it will be, you will sit there for 10 hours pulling the lever until you are bankrupt. The unpredictability of the reward is what creates the neurological addiction.
So if a guy treats a woman perfectly every single day, his validation just becomes the baseline.
Yes, the brain habituates to it. It no longer registers as a dopamine spike. It just registers as normal reality.
But if a guy makes her feel like she might lose him at any second, and then suddenly turns around and says, "No, you're the only one for me," that validation feels like hitting the jackpot.
Precisely. And in this specific scenario, remember what he told her at the bar? He said he was seeking validation elsewhere because he felt inadequate.
Oh, wow. Right.
In her mind, that meant she'd been competing against other women for his attention during the entire relationship. And now, by him coming back to her and saying, "I fixed myself for you," she feels like she finally won the competition.
That is an enormous ego stroke.
It really is. The reality of the bad physical intimacy in the past is rewritten by the brain because the chaotic tension of winning him back is infinitely more engaging to her nervous system than the peace of being single or dating a predictable guy.
And this highlights a massive danger for men who rely on social proof or the opinions of a woman's friends when they are dating. I mean, her friends literally bought a cake to celebrate his exit. They despise him.
They threw a party.
And yet she is completely willing to lie to their faces and sneak around in the dark to go see him. If a woman's visceral biological attraction to a toxic dynamic is that strong, then social logic, what her friends think is best for her, has absolutely zero chance of stopping her.
It is a critical lesson.
Yeah.
You cannot negotiate attraction through a committee.
Right.
What a woman's friends say they want for her is always the logical checklist. We want you to find a nice, stable, respectful guy who treats you like a queen. But what the woman actually responds to when no one is watching is the emotional spike.
And guys mess this up all the time.
All the time. When men try to appeal to a woman by being the harmless, agreeable guy her friends would approve of, they often strip away the exact edge that would make her viscerally desire him.
Okay, so we've established that cognitive dissonance allows someone to excuse past trauma, and that intermittent reinforcement creates an addiction to bad behavior. But how does the brain handle a real-time physical threat from a brand new guy?
Oh, this is a fun one.
Because this naturally leads us to one of the most insane behavioral rationalizations I have ever come across. It perfectly illustrates how far the brain will go to protect an emotional fantasy.
You're talking about the beige flag rationalization.
Yes, the beige flag. And it is wild. So here's the scene. A woman is in the passenger seat of a car with a new guy she has been dating for just a couple of weeks. She is highly invested. She says she really likes him and already sees a potential future with him.
Early on, but she's bought in.
Yeah, and why does she see this future? Because, in her words, he is a really good guy.
And what are her qualifications for him being a really good guy?
This is the best part. The bar is practically underground. Her qualifications are that he has a job, and he occasionally asks her questions about herself.
That's it.
That's it. She even admits that when he asks how her day went, he almost immediately turns the conversation back to himself. But to her, he checks the box of employed and somewhat conversational, so she is actively building a fantasy of their future together based on this minimal baseline.
Notice how the logical checklist is completely pliable.
Oh, completely.
When she is emotionally drawn to someone, the requirements for the checklist drop dramatically. He just has to clear the lowest possible hurdle for her to justify her attraction.
Exactly. So they're driving down the road. She doesn't like the music that is playing in the car. So casually, she reaches for his phone, which is sitting in the center console, to cue up a different song.
Very normal thing to do.
Totally normal. But the absolute second her hand touches his phone, this really good guy violently lunges for it. He aggressively tries to snatch it out of her hands with so much force and panic that he practically runs the car off the road.
Whoa.
They almost crash into a ditch.
That is a completely disproportionate fight-or-flight panic reaction to a very mundane action.
Right. Anyone observing this objectively knows exactly what is happening. He is hiding something massive on that phone. He has notifications popping up from other girls. He's got dating apps on the home screen. Maybe a secret life.
It's obvious.
It is a glaring, neon flashing red flag of deception. He almost caused a high-speed collision over a Spotify playlist.
And how does she process this event?
She goes on social media and says, I don't know if that's a red flag. Maybe it's more of a beige flag or a gray flag. He probably just thought his mom was calling.
A beige flag.
A beige flag.
It is truly remarkable what the human brain will do to avoid shattering an illusion. It is the cognitive equivalent of staring at a grease fire in your kitchen, watching your cabinets turn to ash, and calling it ambient lighting.
That is exactly what it is. She is literally justifying a near-death experience because she is attracted to him. But why? Explain the mechanism here. Why does the brain perform these Olympic-level mental gymnastics instead of just saying, this guy is dangerous and hiding something, I need to get out of this car?
It comes down to the concept of frame and the energy he exudes. Men who live chaotic, secretive, or double lives. Men who have something significant to hide naturally operate with a very specific type of hypervigilant energy.
They're always on edge.
Right. They're constantly maintaining their reality, constantly guarding their territory. To a woman's subconscious, this hypervigilance can confusingly read as magnetic, dominant, or intensely masculine.
Even though the reason for the vigilance is that he's a liar.
The subconscious doesn't care about morality. It cares about behavioral cues. By lunging for the phone, he demonstrated that he was willing to go to extreme, almost violent lengths to maintain absolute control of his environment.
Wow.
He showed that his boundaries do not touch my phone, completely supersede her comfort, her opinion, and even their physical safety.
He maintained his frame even if his frame was built on deception.
Exactly. It is undeniably toxic, but it is a massive demonstration of boundary enforcement. And paradoxically, that display of raw, unapologetic self-interest can hook a woman's attention far more effectively than a guy who says, oh sure, here's my phone, my password is 1234, play whatever you want, I have nothing to hide.
That's so backwards. The nice guy gives up the phone and gets friend zoned. The shady guy almost wraps the car around a telephone pole, and the shady guy is the one she is envisioning a future with.
Because the shady guy inadvertently demonstrates that he is not desperate for her approval.
He didn't care.
He didn't care if she got mad about the phone. He didn't care if she thought he was weird. He only cared about protecting his secret. And that aloofness, that willingness to risk the entire interaction to protect his own agenda is intoxicating to someone who is subconsciously looking for a strong frame to lean into.
So the beige flag is...
A beige flag is simply a red flag that a woman has decided to ignore because the mystery and the dominance of the man are too compelling to walk away from.
She invents the excuse his mom was calling so she doesn't have to break the fantasy.
Right.
If the safe, predictable guy with the premium cologne almost crashed the car because he spilled his coffee, she would call him a clumsy idiot and never text him again. But because this guy has edge, she does the heavy lifting for him.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's zoom out. We've established that the checklist is a myth. They chase the adrenaline of the haunted house, they get addicted to the intermittent reinforcement of a toxic ex, and they will literally call a near-fatal car crash a beige flag if the guy has enough edge.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But this raises a very natural question. All of this chaotic, adrenaline-chasing behavior sounds like the dating life of someone in their early 20s, driven entirely by biology and impulse.
Yes.
What happens when the biological clock shifts? What happens when the music stops, the fatigue sets in, and they finally decide they want to settle down?
This brings us to one of the most complex dynamics in modern dating, the transition from the exploring phase to the finish line.
The finish line.
This is where we see a massive shift in expectations and where so many well-meaning, logical men get completely destroyed if they don't understand what is happening.
Let's look at the contrast, because you see two very distinct mindsets playing out simultaneously. On one hand, you have the aggressively demanding approach that goes viral online all the time.
Of a list of demands.
Right. A woman declaring her terms, "I am not available to anybody who thinks they're going to waste my time." If you are not on the exact same page as me, which is building a relationship that leads to marriage and a family immediately, get out of my face. If you want a casual fling, you do not get access to me.
Very intense.
She wants a finished product, a successful leader, and she wants him right this second.
It's framed as empowerment, but functionally, it is a boardroom negotiation. She is laying down non-negotiable terms for a corporate merger.
Right. But then, if you trace back the behavioral history, you often find a stark contrast. The dating strategies heavily promoted for women in their early 20s are the exact opposite of this boardroom negotiation.
Oh, completely.
The advice is often don't jump into a serious relationship. Date multiple guys, keep your options open, go slow, and don't get emotionally attached. You're only young once, explore. Or in some of the more chaotic corners of social media, the strategy is literally cheat, leave, upgrade, repeat.
It's true.
They spend a decade ignoring the earnest guys who wanted to build something stable, actively chasing the charismatic trainer into the basement.
And this creates a profound psychological crisis when the timeline starts to run out. Because eventually, the thrill of the basement wears off. The chaotic energy that was so intoxicating at 23 becomes exhausting by 30.
Which perfectly explains the other reality we see constantly, like the video of the 30-year-old woman sitting in her car after the gym crying into her phone camera.
We've all seen that video.
She says she is turning 30 in 2 weeks. She is utterly exhausted from going on endless dates. And she is devastated because the latest prospect she invested time into turned out to only want a casual situationship.
Let's analyze why she is crying.
Yeah.
She is trying to enforce those boardroom rules. She wants a serious relationship. She wants a man who is ready to commit. But the men she's attracted to, the ones who have the success and the edge she's demanding, are treating her the exact same way she treated guys in her early 20s.
Wow.
They're exploring their options. It is a brutal correction of the dating marketplace.
She wants a finished, successful man who is a leader, but she wants to dictate exactly how and when he leads.
That is the ultimate paradox. She is saying, I am ready for marriage now, so you, as the strong leader, must lead me into marriage on my exact schedule. But true leaders, by definition, do not conform to someone else's frantic timeline.
No, they don't.
Men who have built themselves into high-value assets operate on their own schedule.
And more importantly, she wants to skip the building phase entirely, the struggling phase.
This is a critical point for men to understand. The building phase of a man's life is grueling. It is the phase where he is working 60 hours a week, living in a cramped apartment, trying to get his business off the ground, or paying his way through night school.
It's not glamorous.
Not at all. When men are in that phase, they are largely invisible to the women who are out exploring their options with the flashy, charismatic guys who provide instant emotional spikes.
They completely ignore the architect while he's pouring the concrete in the rain, but they demand their name on the deed the second the penthouse is finished and the heating is turned on.
Yes, that's exactly it. And guys need to listen to this very carefully because this is where the mistakes happen. A young man's energy, his drive, his raw, unpolished potential. When you pair that with a woman who genuinely believes in him, a woman who stands by his side while he is struggling and building, that combination makes a man virtually unstoppable. That is the foundation of a true partnership. They forge a bond in the fire of shared adversity.
But the woman crying in her car or issuing demands in a viral video doesn't want the fire. She just wants the warmth of the finished fireplace.
Right.
And the huge catastrophic mistake that good men make is that they overextend themselves to accommodate this expectation. A guy who has finally achieved some success meets a woman who demands a finished product, and instead of recognizing that she is bringing no shared history or equity to the table, he trips over himself trying to prove his worth to her.
He reverts right back to the logical checklist mindset.
Exactly. He hands over his entire 3 to 5 year plan on the first date. He says, look at my portfolio, look at my stability, look at my credit score. I can be everything you are demanding.
Which is incredibly self-destructive behavior. Why are you offering the entire harvest of your labor to someone who didn't help you plant a single seed?
It makes no sense.
Men overextend because they still fundamentally believe the checklist is real. They think she is loudly demanding X, Y, and Z. I have finally achieved X, Y, and Z. Therefore, we are a perfect match and I will win her affection.
But they miss the context.
They failed to realize that she didn't have these rigid, ironclad rules for the chaotic men in her past. She broke every single one of her rules for the guy in the haunted house. But now that she is older and the consequences of her past choices are catching up, suddenly the rules are non-negotiable, and she expects the good guy to foot the bill for her stability.
Men have to stop offering their kingdom to someone who just showed up for the coronation. It's a terrible deal.
It is.
But when these women who just show up for the coronation inevitably get rejected by the high-value men they are targeting, how do they process it? Because you see a very specific narrative repeatedly used to explain away these rejections.
You are referring to the psychological defense mechanism often called the dream girl myth.
Yes. When these successful, highly desired men eventually walk away or refuse to commit to the boardroom terms, the narrative always shifts to protect the ego. The explanation goes exactly like this. I will never understand men who meet their dream girl. They know she is the absolute love of their life, but they think they aren't good enough for her, so they sabotage the relationship out of their own insecurity.
It is almost Shakespearean in his tragedy, isn't it?
It really is.
The noble, flawed man, too broken by his own feelings of inadequacy to accept the radiant goddess standing in front of him, pushes her away to save her from his own darkness.
It is a phenomenal script for a romantic comedy, but I want to dismantle this completely because it is absolute, unadulterated fiction in the real world.
Oh, completely.
Men absolutely do not sabotage relationships with women they genuinely view as their long-term ideal. If a man meets a woman who he truly believes is his dream girl, meaning she brings deep peace to his life, she is fiercely loyal, she is physically beautiful to him, and she fits seamlessly into his vision for the future, he is going to lock that down.
Without hesitation.
He will move mountains to keep her in his life. He does not play 4D chess to self-sabotage out of insecurity.
The reality is much simpler and unfortunately much harsher to the ego. She was simply never his dream girl.
That is the blunt truth.
She allowed herself to be treated as an option or kept in a casual situationship by a guy who possessed abundant options. When a man has leverage, whether that is because he is highly successful, exceptionally good-looking, or just incredibly charismatic and understands the mechanics of attraction we've been discussing, he does not instantly elevate one single woman to a mythological dream status.
Right.
He assesses his options. He looks objectively at who fits his life best. He engages casually because he has the freedom to do so.
He is not sabotaging himself, he is just exercising his options.
Exactly. What is happening is psychological projection. The woman is projecting her own feelings of inadequacy onto the man. It is incredibly painful to face the reality that he just wasn't that into her, or that he enjoyed her company for a weekend but did not see her as a wife.
Yeah, the ego can't handle that.
Yeah. The ego cannot process that kind of rejection easily. So instead of saying, I wasn't what he wanted long term, she flips the script. She says, I was too perfect, I was too intimidating, and it terrified him.
Wow.
It is a coping mechanism designed to maintain the illusion of being a high-value prize while simultaneously explaining away the rejection.
It removes all accountability. And it is actively dangerous for men to listen to this narrative and believe it because it completely warps their understanding of how attraction and commitment actually function.
Oh, it's very dangerous.
If a guy believes the dream girl myth is real, he might start thinking he needs to act insecure or complicated or emotionally unavailable just to be perceived as a high-value man who sabotages things.
Which is ridiculous.
Or worse, he might stay with a woman who treats him poorly because he convinces himself that she is just intimidating and he needs to rise to her level.
Right. If a man is pulling away, it is not because a woman is too amazing. It is usually because the interaction has become a net negative for his life. She's either demanding too much unearned equity, she's creating unnecessary drama, or he simply has another option on his radar that aligns better with his goals. We have to look at behavior objectively without the romanticized narratives.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of everything we've been talking about today. We have mapped out the chaos. We've seen exactly how the logical checklist fails to generate arousal.
Yep.
We've explored how intermittent reinforcement creates toxic addictions, how red flags are painted beige to protect a fantasy, and how entitlement and coping mechanisms distort the reality of the dating market.
It's a lot to process.
So, where does this leave the listener? If being the predictable, perfect, resume-building good guy gets you friend-zoned, and the chaotic, basement-dwelling, toxic guy gets the passionate, rule-breaking devotion, what is a normal, good-hearted man supposed to do? Do we all have to become manipulative sociopaths just to get a date?
Absolutely not. And that is the single most important takeaway from this entire discussion. Do not become toxic.
Say it louder for the guys in the back.
Do not become toxic. It is a fatal error, and it will ruin your life just as quickly as being a complete doormat will.
I couldn't agree more. Let's really hammer this point home because it's a common overcorrection. Trying to fake toxic bad boy behavior when you are naturally a good, well-adjusted guy is like putting a cheap Ferrari body kit on a Honda Civic.
It looks ridiculous.
It looks ridiculous, and the moment you rev the engine, everyone knows it's a fake.
Yeah.
If you try to act like the guy who violently lunges for the phone or the guy who hides a secret girlfriend in the basement, you are only going to attract deeply damaged women who are addicted to chaos.
And furthermore, those damaged women will inevitably get bored of your act. They will intuitively sense that you aren't authentically dangerous.
Right.
Your baseline nature is good, so eventually you will slip up and treat them well. And the very moment you do, their trauma bond will break, the tension will vanish, they will lose interest, and they will run right back to a genuinely toxic guy who can provide the authentic, destructive emotional spikes they crave. You lose a game that you never should have been playing in the first place.
So if the answer isn't toxicity, and it isn't the boring checklist, what is it?
The answer is boundaries and self-respect.
Boundary.
You have to merge the two archetypes. You need to cultivate the charismatic, unpredictable, unbothered edge of the bad boy, but anchor it to the solid, reliable foundation of a good man. You don't create tension by abusing someone or lying to them. You create tension by having a life of your own, by playfully teasing them, by leading the interaction, and above all, by being completely willing to walk away.
It comes down to frame control.
Exactly. The toxic guy maintains his frame through manipulation, deception, and aggression. The grounded, highly attractive man maintains his frame through unwavering self-respect.
Yeah.
If a woman disrespects him or tests his boundaries, he doesn't yell, he doesn't throw things, and he doesn't write a paragraph explaining his feelings. He simply removes his attention. That removal of attention is a massive emotional spike, but it is rooted in psychological health, not toxicity.
That is the perfect distinction. But, I know a lot of guys struggle with the actual execution of this. They understand the theory, I need to be confident and hold my boundaries, but they don't know how to translate that into real-time conversation.
Yeah, execution is hard.
They don't know how to build that initial tension on a date without feeling like they are being a jerk. They get stuck in friendly interview-style conversation. And, if someone... Exactly. I like that it gives guys a step-by-step framework instead of leaving them to guess. Because a lot of good guys just guess, and they either guess too passively and end up as a platonic friend, or they guess too aggressively and come off as entirely uncalibrated.
Right, which just makes everyone uncomfortable.
Yeah. Some men prefer learning through a structured program, and stealth attraction is one example of a system that helps good guys communicate their intent, build necessary tension, and create those emotional spikes without compromising their core character. It's just about learning the mechanics of communication.
I think that approach bridges a crucial gap. Some men naturally understand the dance of attraction. They understand the push-pull, the teasing, the prolonged eye contact. But for men who grew up entirely focused on fulfilling the logical checklist, they need to learn an entirely new language.
They really do.
They need to understand that being a good man does not mean being a boring, agreeable, submissive man.
You can be a gentleman and still be dangerous in a good way. You can hold the door open for her, but still playfully challenge her opinions. You can have a brilliant 5-year plan for your business, but still take her on a spontaneous, adrenaline-pumping date instead of a sterile coffee interview.
Ultimately, you have to understand how human behavior and attraction actually work so that you don't get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
The dating market is ruthless, and it does not care about your sense of fairness. If you don't understand the rules of the game, you will be played by those who do. Let the guys who want to play toxic, destructive games play them. They usually end up miserable and alone anyway.
Exactly.
But for you, the listener, your job is to recognize reality. Recognize when a woman is holding you to an impossible, rigid standard that she never, ever held her chaotic exes to.
Yes, if she broke every single one of her unbreakable rules for the guy living in the basement, but she demands absolute perfection from you before she will even text you back, you are being used.
100%.
Have the supreme confidence to look at that situation, recognize it for exactly what it is, and walk away. Your greatest power as a man is your willingness to walk away from a bad deal.
So as we synthesize all of this, the core realization we have to walk away with is that people's stated preferences, the resumes, the checklists, the demands for immediate building, are often a complete mirage.
Total mirage.
They are what people think they should want or what they want to project to the world to look responsible. But real visceral attraction operates entirely in the shadows of our biology. It runs on emotional spikes, on tension, on unpredictability, and on the firm, unshakable establishment of boundaries.
The logical brain builds the checklist, but the nervous system makes the final decision.
Exactly.
If you only appeal to the checklist, you will always lose to the guy who knows how to hijack the nervous system.
And understanding that difference changes the entire paradigm of how you approach a Saturday night.
It changes absolutely everything. So I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on as you go about your week. If you now know with absolute objective certainty that a woman's unbreakable rules are really just fragile guidelines waiting to be shattered by the man who knows how to spark her emotions, how does that change the way you're going to walk into your very next date?